So welcome everyone to the North Wasco County School District 21 regular school board meeting. Today is October 27, 2022, and I will call this meeting officially to order. And to start off, if you can all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Our first item tonight is just a review revision of the agenda. Do any of the directors have any revisions or updates? I'm not seeing none, so we will continue to move forward. Director Jones, do you mind reading the mission vision, please?
Use mine. Educating each student to the highest standards while motivating them to reach their fullest potential and graduating them to be college, career, and life ready. Vision statement. Our schools are a place where children belong. Each student is known by name, strength, and need, and provided an education and opportunities to achieve success. Our values: striving for equity, inclusion, and belonging, celebrating diversity, engaging the community, supporting the whole child, promoting and achieving academic excellence.
Thank you, Director Jones. Next, we're going to do our student and staff recognition for the month, starting with new staff recognition. So if I could have our HR director, Ms. Harris, present that to us tonight.
Evening. All right, as we had talked last in August, we had several new teachers and staff members that I'd like to honor here today. So people who we haven't been introduced to at this point. So first of all, at Chenoweth Elementary School, we have licensed staff: Jamie Espia Ruiz, Ambrielle Field, Emma Hyatt, Kara Odell, Ariel Shabanian, Camille Scheffler, Brittany Weiberg. And in our classified staff, we have Nora Ferguson, Stephanie Flores, Lisa Loop, Emmanuel Quevedo Maldonado, Tyler Weston, and Haley Benfield. Several new staff at Chenoweth and doing a fantastic job supporting our students and the rest of the team. At Colonel Wright, we have two new staff members: Jeremiah Paulson, who's our new counselor. Mary Ruth Strands has stepped in the 2-3 blend classroom. And the classified staff for Colonel Wright, we have Myro Castro, Diana Flores, Elsa Longino, John McNeil, and Tenley Stevens. Dry Hollow has quite a few staff in grade 1, 2, 3, 4, all around the gamut. We have Tara Erickson, Mary Jane Laney, Mackenzie Schmidt, Lauren Trubb, Allison Vassar, Connor Ward, and Andy Lynch. And our new classified staff at Dry Hollow: Amy Baldy, Hannah Page, and Libya Ruiz Najera. At the Dalles Middle School, quite a few staff members filling in for all grades as well as all subject levels: Melissa Diss, Mariana Garcia, Hannah Gutierrez, Monica Leducer, Ben Larson, Elisa Long, and Sabrina Nemec. And Karen Hewitt, Kevin Remington, Haley Sharp, Tana Tibbetts, and Zulki, and Jesus Acosta. So quite a few staff at the Dalles Middle School, of course, being bigger than the elementaries, 2 pages. Our classified staff, new classified staff at the Dalles Middle School: Helen Bannock, Erica Carrillo, Stacy Schatz, and Carla Weber. So a number of SPED assistants are new at our Dalles Middle School. At the Dalles High School, Betty Bolt, Daniel Campagna, Sean Carlin, Leah Ferguson, Crystal Haggard, Gabriel Judah, Will O'Brien, David Shakawati, Karen Ton, and our classified staff. Welcome to Emily Barnes, Chloe Beeson, Diana Azell, Rosita Gonzaga Nava, and Valley Ramanathan. At Innovations Academy, which are a new program this year, complete new staff and classified staff. We have Michael Adkins, Julia Cardiel, Jaylene Vargas, John Trimble, Abby Graves, Michael Miller, Elizabeth Runciman, Paige Walker, and classified staff at Innovations Academy, Cody Wade. So welcome to our newest program in the Dalles. We have some district-wide employees as well that are new to us in the district in North Wasco. We have Shannon Brennan, Nicole Kavist, Laura Dunn, Marissa Nada, Tony Shepard, and Ann Berinsky. And new administration that we added Lauren Merklin and Jamie Kerr, our newest director of after-school programs. Newest classified and district-wide, we have Gerardo Ortega, Eduardo Ortega, Kyle Woolheiser, Joseph Jenkins, Nicolette Hagee, Julie Zapian, Deborah Hanna, Riley Robinson, Nikayla Vilbig, Corrine Stewart. And district-wide with transportation, Jeff Benson, Albert Pelosi, Shauna Pelosi, all for North Wasco. And in our Sherman County ranks, we have Brooklyn Carroll, Jeremy Lanthron, Karen Moll, and William Wembold. So picking up district, lots of new exciting faces. They're doing a fantastic job with our kids and our buildings. And welcome to each and every one of them from North Wasco. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris, and welcome everyone to D21. Look forward to meeting you throughout the year and see the wonderful things you guys will do for our kiddos throughout the district. Our next recognition tonight is with our community partners, and we'll have our Director of Communications, Ms. Bowen, present that.
Hi, good evening. So this month, we would like to take the opportunity to thank a different group of people who are actively making a difference in our schools each and every day. Whether they step through our doors once a week or once a month, their impact on our schools is long lasting. So to our community partners who are continually there for our students, we extend our greatest gratitude. The meaningful work happening in our schools each day could not be possible without their support, participation, and assets of each of these groups. They all make a significant impact in so many different ways, from helping support our students' mental health and keeping our schools safe, to expanding and improving school programming, and they all help to support our overall student outcomes. Thank you for all that you do in contributing positively to our students' success. Some of the many community partners inside of our school walls include CGCC, Columbia Gorge ESD, Mid-Columbia Center for Living, OSU Extension, One Community Health, The Next Door, Youth Think, our local law enforcement, and Trillium. Of course, there are additional community partners that we love having in our schools as well, but these ones are in our schools on a regular and continual basis. And we just wanted to give them a special thank you and recognition of their devotion to our students.
Thank you, Ms. Bowen, and thank you to all our community partners and helping provide the different services that our kiddos need throughout the district. All right, next, we'll move into our student representative reports. And tonight we'll start with the Dallas High School and Mayette Winwood.
Hello, sorry. Hello, my name is Mayette Winwood. I am a junior at the Dallas High School and I am the ASB Public Relations Officer. Our fall sports are coming to an end, but our teams have had an amazing season. The boys cross country team are district champions and are heading to state as a team. The girls cross country team came in third and Elena Cassidy finished in third place and is going to state. Our volleyball team are district champions and are hosting their first round of playoff games on Saturday, October 29th at 6 p.m. versus Scappoose. If they win, they will qualify for state championship tournament in Springfield on November 4th and 5th. Right now, our volleyball team is third in the state. Girls soccer has also qualified for playoffs and will be hosting the Baker Bulldogs tomorrow at 3:30 at Watonka. Boys soccer is also going to playoffs in Seaside on Saturday. Winter sports start Monday, November 14th. The robotics team is going to a tournament this Saturday at Sandy High School. Choir is going to a Tri-Valley League showcase on November 1st at Gladstone High School. The theater department has started rehearsing their winter play, The Sissification of a Christmas Carol, opening December 8th. The new gazebo or bullpen was just completed this week. Here are some words from Mr. Kelly about marching band and this week's competition. On Monday, October 24th, TDHS Marching Band traveled to McNary High School in Salem to perform in the first annual McNary Marching Invitational. This event is geared toward allowing groups a chance to enter the competitive marching world while receiving feedback from certified adjudicators. As this was our first ever competitive field show event, Mr. Kelly is incredibly proud of the students' professionalism and performance at the event. The criticism and feedback received from the judges has reinforced our goal of being a competitive group. We hope to continue this upward trend in our marching ensemble and are already looking at potential competitions for next fall. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayette. And go Riverhawks. We got a lot of exciting athletic things happening this weekend. All right, next we'll hear from the Innovations Academy, and we have Owen Aguilera, Levany Wadsworth, and Lou Mendez.
Hello, my name is Owen Aguilera, and I am a 10th grader from Innovations Academy.
Hi, I'm Carrie Clausen. I'm in 11th grade. I'm also ASB president.
The first thing that I want to mention is that we recently wrapped up our first homecoming and things were pretty successful. We definitely think that there are some areas where we can improve, but that comes with the territory of a new school. In addition to our Spirit Week that happened for homecoming, we also currently just wrapped up our Fall Spirit Week, including Duo Day, Celebrity Day, Heroes and Villains Day, and Dress Up or Dress Down Day. For this, our students are dressing up and earning points for their class's Spirit Points. Currently, the juniors are in the lead for high school, and we just have a tie between 6th and 7th graders for the middle school. In addition to that, our middle school students will have the option of attending the harvest dance that is occurring at the middle school this Friday.
We have also just wrapped up our ASB elections. Myself as ASB president, Jay Trujillo as vice president, Belinda Sanchez as our historian, and then McKenna Bennett as our secretary. Our next focus is helping out with the winter barzette. I always butcher this, sorry.
Barnett.
No, bazaar. And that will be happening December 3rd at Watonka campus. As this is an annual event, all of the planning has already happened, but Innovations leadership members will be helping set up and take down booths for other companies. And then in addition, we will also be taking over planning in the next upcoming years. We will also have our own booth and we'll be selling baked goods. So make sure to check us out. One of our final things that our leadership is looking forward to is having our students represent our school at the upcoming bond meeting. Thank you.
Right, thank you, and congrats on your election, Carrie. That's awesome. Next, we'll hear from the Dallas Middle School and Riley Elliott.
Hello, District 21 School Board. I'm Riley Elliott, ASB President of the Dallas Middle School, and let's get right into our October updates. Sorry, give me a second. We now have 12 class officers, 2 per house, and we are very excited for them to get to help us out. We are currently in Spirit Week. Monday was Comfy Day, Tuesday was Adam Standler Day, Wednesday was Western Day, and today was Neon Day. Tomorrow is Costume Day. Students are earning Spirit points for their grade level. Tomorrow is our fall harvest dance. The DJ is booked, and so is our photographer. Innovations Academy was invited as well. The food has been ordered, and we are ready and thrilled for our first dance of the year. We had an assembly last Thursday, and it went great. We had a student versus staff dodgeball game, and we did fall themed activities. We did donut on a string eating contest and apple bobbing. The class officers got to participate, and it definitely got everyone excited for Spirit Week and the dance. Fall sports have started wrapping up. The cross-country team season has come to an end. They had districts on Friday. The girls' champs got third, and the girls' super champs took third too. The boys' teams didn't have enough to place, sadly, but Jack Dewey, Sam Ford, and Willow Ziegenhagen will be moving on to state. The volleyball team and the football team season have ended as well. We are very proud of our sports teams, and we are eager to start winter sports. Basketball has started up for the boys' teams. We will have more information coming soon. TDMS had an ice cream social on October 7th, and it was very successful. We had 284 students. That's 51% of the student body attend. The students loved the chance to hang out with friends and eat ice cream while playing with beach balls. November 3rd, the 7th and 8th grade choir will be performing at the Wasco County Courthouse and the Dallas Starbucks at 1:15 to 2 p.m. respectively. TDMS would like to personally invite all North Wasco County School Board members and administration to attend our annual Salute to Veterans Assembly on November 10th at 10 a.m. The TDMS students and TDH band students and choirs will perform at the assembly. We will feature guest speakers and students as we honor our veterans and their families that reside in our community. On Tuesday, November 15th, the TDMS and TDHS choir will perform in the Commons at 6 p.m. On December 1st. The TDMS bands will perform in the gym at 6 p.m. This year's musical will go on stage in May of 2023 and will be Moana Jr. That's the summary of all the fun at TDMS. Thank you all so much for your time. Go Wildcats!
Thank you, Riley, and go Wildcats indeed, and enjoy the harvest dance with your classmates. Next, we'll hear from Dry Hollow Elementary, and we have Elias Jensen.
Good evening, board members and North Wasco County District 21 patrons. I'm Elias Jensen here once again to let you know what's happening in Viking territory on 19th Street here in the Dalles. Before I start my report, I would like to again invite all of the board members to come visit our school. We haven't seen very many of you yet. Since I was here last, activities at Dry Hollow have really increased. On Thursday, October 13th, we celebrated Cancer Awareness Month by all wearing pink. The school was flooded with everyone wearing something pink to school to honor those who have had or have cancer. We recently held our student council elections. The winning officers were Jersey Thompson as our public relations director, Abella Romero as our treasurer. Yupili won the job of secretary, and in really tight races at the main two recounts, Lydia Laducer was elected vice president, and Grayson Floyd was elected our new student council president. We expect great things from these officers, and I'm sure they'll deliver. Spirit Week at Dry Hollow is next week, October 31st through November 4th. Our days have been decided. Monday is favorite character day. Tuesday is Crazy Cat Day. Wednesday is Disney Day. Thursday is Mismatch Day. And Friday is Dry Hollow Spirit Day. It should be a lot of fun. Veterans Day is almost here. On November 10th, we will have a Veterans Day assembly to honor all of those who have served or are serving now in the armed forces. Raise your hand if you're a veteran. Oh, I see. Yeah. We are collecting names of servicemen and women and making stars for them to decorate our hallway with. Mrs. Corey is in charge of all this. She's doing an outstanding job. You might say she's Wonder Woman without the costume. We have started the Golden Shoe Award. This award will be given to the lower grade class and upper grade class that walks the most quietly through the halls of our school during the week. Tomorrow we will have an assembly focusing on the word of the month. Mrs. Lloyd, our Dean of Students, has been working hard on this assembly, and I must say she is doing a respectful job as the Dean of Students of the Dry Hollow students. School conference dates have been set. The conferences will be held on November 28th and November 30th from 3 to 7 p.m. Our PTA Believe fundraiser has just wound up. Although we didn't earn as much money as we would have liked, it did do fairly well. Besides filling in our attendance secretary for Ms. Crystal, has spent a great deal of her time on this fundraiser, and we want to thank her for all she has done. She's a superwoman of PTA. That's what's been happening at Dry Hollow Elementary School. We hope that you stop by and say hi. Have a safe Halloween and don't stay out too late trick or treating. Good evening.
Thanks, Elias, and enjoy Spirit Week next week. Next, we'll hear from our last school, which is going to be Chenoweth Elementary School. We have Alexis Figueroa and Luis Ponce.
Good evening. My name is Luis Ponce. I am a fifth grader student at Chenoweth Elementary School. Here's what's been happening at Chenoweth this month.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Alexis Figueroa. Soy un estudiante de quinto grado en la escuela primaria Chenoweth, de Chenoweth. Esto es lo que está sucediendo en Chenoweth este mes.
We have had a great band called Jarabe Mexican come to play music for our school. It was our first assembly in over 2 years.
Tuvimos una gran banda llamado Jarabe Mexicano tocando música para nuestra escuela. Fue nuestra primer asamblea en más de 2 años.
Fourth grade ASB planned Spirit Week. Students and staff have dressed up as and celebrated Sports Day, Pajama Day, Wacky Hair Day, and Book Character Day, and School Color Day.
ASB de cuarto grado planeado la semana de espíritu y los estudiantes y el personaje se disfracen y celebraron el día de deporte, el día de pijama, el día de pelo loco y el día de personajes de libro y el día de color escolar.
Mr. Bob with OSU Extension is leading garden classes in our garden for all the fourth graders. He is also leading an after-school video club where students get to learn to take and edit videos.
El señor Bob con OSU Extensión está dirigiendo clases de jardinera en nuestro jardín para todos los estudiantes de cuarto grado. También dirige un club de video extracurricular donde los estudiantes aprenden a tomar y editar videos.
Mr. Anthony, our first grade teacher, is leading a robotics club after school on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We also have some other fun school activities starting up.
El señor Anthony, nuestro maestro de primer grado, dirige un club de robótica después de clases los martes y los jueves. También tenemos otras actividades divertidas después de la escuela que comienza.
First grade students harvest pumpkins from our garden that were planted last spring.
Los estudiantes de primer grado cosecharon calabazas de nuestro jardín que se plantaron en la primavera pasada.
In fifth grade, we are learning decimals and math about the Nez Perce tribe.
En quinto grado estamos aprendiendo decimales en matemáticas y sobre la tribu de Nez Perce.
Our second grade DLI class has high school students from Mr. Brady's class, Spanish class, coming and read books in Spanish to them once a week.
Nuestro clase de DLI de segundo grado tiene estudiantes de secundaria de la clase de español del señor Brady que vienen y les leen libros en español una vez por semana.
Thank you for the opportunity to share all the amazing things at CAS every day. We end up morning announcements with remember to be kind, be responsible, be respectful, and be safe. Recuerda ser amable, responsable, respetuoso y seguro.
Don't forget to
together we are better. No olvides, juntos somos mejores.
Thank you.
Gracias por acompañarnos hoy esta noche y el reporte de su escuela. Next, we'll move on to our consent agenda. It consists of the school board meeting minutes from September 22nd, 2022, and the school board retreat minutes from October 7th, 2022. And it also includes an updated personnel report. Any comments, questions from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Consent agenda.
All right, do I have a second? All right, so I've got a motion by Director Nelson to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by Director Stevens. Any further questions or discussion? Not seeing none, so we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez, Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Nelson,
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Richardson,
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next is our review of board action calendar. Probably the one I'll highlight is the annual OSBA conference is coming up. Ms. Miller sent out information, just double checking the reservations and everything are all squared away for that conference. It's taking place the 11th through the 13th in Portland. So make sure you communicate with Cindy and ensure that registration and hotels all squared away. Any other items from either October or upcoming November? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to subcommittee reports, starting with the scholarship committee. Director Stevens, any update?
Yes, we met last week, had lunch at Casa El Mirador with Mr. Evans, chatted about scholarships. There's a couple new ones that are coming in that are pretty substantial and should help some kids pay for, they go to like U of O or OSU. It was going to cover about, I think is a third to half of their scholarship costs. I think that was really it. And then moving on to the COT meeting, that is tomorrow.
Thank you, Director Stevens. Next is the Wellness Committee, Director Richardson.
We meet next week.
Okay. Ms. Rasmussen not here tonight. The Wasco County Forest Collaborative, Director Nelson.
Next, well, is it next week? It's the first week in November. Is that next week?
Yeah.
And on Thursday.
Okay. The OSBA Legislative Policy Committee, Director Richardson.
Yes, thank you, Chair Aparicio. Thanks to everybody who attended the OSBA Legislative Policy Roadshow 2 weeks ago. It was a good discussion hosted by the ESD. When we were listening to the new staff, it reminded me that the chair of the OSBA was very impressed that we were able to fill so many vacant positions. And that was a gold star that Carolyn reported on for North Wasco. So that's something to be very proud of. I also recognize that it's a lot of work to onboard that many people. So thank you to all those efforts that are being made to support those new staff. It's also super encouraging to recognize almost half of those names as my fellow community members and to see the workforce coming from local sources. So that's great. I have a presentation later in the agenda, and that's all for LPC.
And our last report is D21 Ed Foundation, Director Jones. Okay, that concludes our subcommittee reports. We'll move into our staff reports. We'll hear from the D21 Education Association representative and the North Wasco Education Support Professional representative.
Evening board. I'm Charlene Bonham, co-president of the North Wasco ESTs. Funny story, tonight, our new VP Joel Chase was to be here to present. He has been with the district for many years in the maintenance custodial facilities department. So what we have tonight is an upcoming event. It's our holiday food drive. We are going to be collecting at the schools from November 1st through November 18th. And we will have bins at the schools for the donations of non-perishable items. We are going to include gift cards in the baskets and all for the perishable items. They will be delivered to our North Wasco School District families, and they'll be packed and delivered on November 21st. The district has supported us with this drive, and we've actually made it a competition between the schools. This is from the Wellness Committee, and the winning school will receive a luncheon for all the staff. There's more details coming on that too. That's all we have. Congrats to all of the new staff. Welcome aboard School District 21.
All right. Okay, I'll proceed into ours. So teachers are starting to settle into the new ELA curriculum. There are still some frustrations, especially I think mostly for K2 teachers, in the fact that they have wit and wisdom and foundations and geodes. And so it's a lot to take on all at once. And we're still trying to learn while implementing. So it's a big task, but we're getting there, and we're seeing already some growth, which is super exciting. And to walk into different classrooms and see kids as low as kindergarten starting to tap out words and do these things, it's pretty awesome. So we do, as our little Dry Hollow representative said, we would love to see each of you board members in there and get to see this firsthand, because it is very exciting. So teachers are also finding some excitement in many ways. Wellness Wednesdays, I think will always still be at the top of every teacher's list, but we'll take that. And then field trips, starting to plan field trips, which is so exciting, and assemblies, spirit weeks, family nights, celebrations, parties that classrooms are having for growth that they're seeing in math and in reading and whatever subject they're working on. So it's just fantastic to be welcoming families back in and to get the kids seeing some things they've never seen. So I don't usually share a particular story about a particular situation, but I'm going to ask for a little grace here in this moment. At CW, we have a very large family whose father was recently injured and will be unable to work for some time. Our staff has already started collaborating to help this family out, but this is, sorry, I can't get through this without crying. We just had our jogathon, and for a lot of kiddos, they want to participate in that, but they can't bring any money. And so that's hard on them to see other kids bringing in lots of money and then they can't. And he is one of these, this little boy is one of those kiddos that could not bring in money, but he came to me, walked up to me with his 81 cents and said, I think I found $1. To which I replied, that is going to go a long way. And he said, you said this money will go towards field trips and assemblies. And I said, yes. And he said, I have never been on a field trip. And I don't know what an assembly is, but I am so excited for these. Will $1 buy us an assembly? So there you have it. We are fighting the good fight for these kids. And we're very excited that post-pandemic here, or not post-pandemic, but that we actually get to have field trips and assemblies. So I just want to say that I am grateful for that. And all of us teachers are. So anyway, sorry. Thank you for enduring my emotional moments of what our little kiddos are excited to see. Thanks, guys.
Ms. Ketchum, Ms. Bonham, and thanks for the story. I mean, I think that really is a good reminder of why we all are in this room, right? It's the kids. They're number one. And I mean, those are the stories that, you know, make us spend the hours and our free time doing what we do. So thank you for, if you can relay to all the staff. I mean, I know we say it regularly and probably gets old, but I mean, sincere thanks to all the staff, because what you guys do day to day with the kiddos is greatly appreciated, because I mean, without your guys' help, we wouldn't be here, right? So thank you. Next, we'll move into our new business. We'll go to our presentations and reports. Starting off with the special subcommittee for the board. So this is a couple things. So we'll review and approve the recommended statement of purpose and responsibility for the student representative to the board position that Director Richardson had brought up a couple meetings ago. In addition, tonight we're looking to, as a board, approve the formation of the special subcommittee, which will kind of kick off the student representative to the board position. So the work associated with that. So with that, I'll have Director Richardson kind of present the additional information around that.
Do you have a slide of that, or is it just in the packet? The details are in the packet. It outlines the formation of the special subcommittee, membership and duration of 120 days. And I'm seeking board approval to stand up that special subcommittee, which is a temporary committee. You don't have it? Okay. It's in your board packet. It's in the public materials.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Director Richardson, or just any in terms of just, so really the ask is the formation of this committee. So they'll still work to kind of put that together. You can see the breakdown within that. So it's intended to include students, staff, parents, community members, administrator. It'll include our superintendent and then board members as well. Any discussion, question on it? If not, I will entertain a motion for the approval to move forward. Go ahead, Director Nelson.
How are the people that are picked for the subcommittee? Who appoints them? How are they appointed?
So I think it's intended to have an application process, if I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
mistaken. So
Uh-huh.
that way,
Yeah,
we can, kind of select off of the interest that, exists out there.
okay, I get it.
Any other questions? All right, if not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special subcommittee for this board action item.
I'll second.
There's a-
All right, so I've got a motion by Director Stevens to approve the special subcommittee as presented and seconded by Director Nelson. Any further discussion or comment? I guess I'll just take the opportunity that I think this is awesome. I mean, this just for those in the audience and watching. So this will be actually above and beyond just kind of the student representative reports that we have from the buildings throughout the district. This student will actually get to sit up here with us and engage in the dialogue and conversations on the various topics throughout the year. So they will essentially have a seat at the table, which I think is awesome. So I'm super supportive of that. And I'm glad that we're able to kind of consider this and move forward. With that, if there's nothing else, then we'll go to a vote, starting with Director Lopez.
Aye.
Director Jones, Director Nelson,
Aye.
Director Stevens, Director Richardson,
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Did you say that's presented? Should be okay. Yeah. All right, our next report is our superintendent's report. Dr. Bernal.
Thank you. I'm going to first invite Kara Flath, our CFO, and Stephanie Bowen, our communications director, to come share a bond planning update.
Hello again. So we just wanted to give you guys a brief recap about what's been happening at our Community Advisory Bond Planning Committee groups, simply known as CAC. So to date, we have had 2 CAC planning meetings. We started the process back in June. And actually prior to that, you may remember that back last spring in about February, March, we put out a call to the community and to our parents asking for applications to be a part of that committee. We got an overwhelming response, which is amazing. And we ended up with about 60 members on our advisory group from a very diverse population. Our first meeting was the beginning of June, and our focus in that group was to really narrow in on what a potential bond package may be. We tried to go into the process with no preconceived notion and let the community drive what they thought was a priority for the school district. Unshockingly, the majority of the consensus after that meeting was to move forward with a high school bond package. So from moving forward from that initial discussion, they talked about a potential TDHS replacement. Again, the general consensus was placing that building on the Wetumpka site, and that was deemed the highest priority from that group. Of course, as we all know, the community has very strong ties to our existing high school, and one of the focuses of the community has also been on discussing what future plans for that facility may be. We also talked about priority projects and programs for the new facility. CTE and workforce ready programs were very strongly voted as being priorities as far as new space, as well as potential build outs for athletics and plans for our athletic facilities on the Wetumpka campus. We also had some other discussions that we decided to table for the time, but other priorities included accessibility, energy efficiency, safety, and upgrades across the district. Some of the recurring conversations that continually were brought up in both of our June and our September meetings were this bond needs to be done right, and building trust among the community and our taxpayers, as well as clearly communicating our plan to the community as we move forward with this project. The committee met again in September, and I will put an asterisk that we had planned on initially only doing 3 committee meetings, but after following the second meeting, it was very obvious that we needed to add an additional meeting. So we pushed out our 3rd planning meeting to November, and we scheduled a 4th planning meeting at the beginning of December. So we'll be meeting a total of 4 times. We do plan on in the next couple of meetings discussing preliminary site and scope plans, which Carol will talk about here shortly, as well as hearing from our students and getting some voices from our student body, inviting them to come participate in the group and telling them about what they hope to see. And that will include students from both our THS and our Innovations Academy. I'll let Kara dive a little bit more into the details, but just as far as what's happening right now in between meetings, this week we actually kicked off the community polling. So we partnered with a third-party group that we contracted with to do phone polling and talk about the different packages and to gauge community support on those different package levels. And that'll be the primary focus of discussion at that 3rd bond planning meeting. And of course, our plan is to be able to have that group put together a package to present to you guys beginning of next year, 2023. The next slide is a calendar. Yeah. There you go. And it's itty bitty, so I won't expect you to read it right now, but I will just note that this is all available on our website now. Under the About Us header, there is a bond planning section. It has all of our meeting minutes, our videos, a quick FAQ, as well as an inquiry submission. So if folks have questions about the bond planning process or anything in particular, they can submit those there. And you can get a little bit bigger view of this bond planning committee calendar. And on that note, I will turn it over to Kara to talk about construction cost development and scope plans that have been discussed today.
Yes, she's got it. Thank you, Robbie. You can move on to the next slide. While there's just 2 pages here, there's a whole lot of information that goes behind the cost analysis that goes into this. We all know just from going to the store or paying for gas, everything's increased, and that's not unusual in the construction world when we see it in the rest of it. So costs on average are up at least 30% in the construction world. So all these numbers have built in those inflations. We also worked with another gentleman who specializes in construction cost to refine these as much as possible. Just know that these options that you see in here, a couple caveats, the details are not built out. So you might see on here a map of what the high school building may look like. It's just there for aesthetic purposes. It's an average cost per square foot with a lot of information built into that. So having said that, we have a base option all the way up to maximum what we would like to do. The base option minimum is 120 million just to build the high school on the Wetumpka campus on the fields that we have there with parking spaces. And then that ranges from just building part of an athletic field where the Sid Whitefield is, rebuilding that, and then expanding even more than that, tearing down the Wetumpka campus and making that a new field. Sorry, yeah, I keep skipping ahead. So those base options range from 120 to 180 million. So one of the things we did with our community group was discuss, how does your pulse feel with that? And what are the things you would like to see? And what are the things you would like to forego if that number's too high? So that's the point where we're at. We are, like Stephanie said, community polling right now. And once that data is collected, we'll meet with our community group next week and get a feel for how do those numbers look to the community as it relates to your tax dollars. That's kind of a really general basic. There is some comparables that Stephanie threw these in here just so you can see that, you know, some of the areas they looked at were Eugene School District and Ben Lapine, and it was more to get the cost per square foot. So we're in between those two projects. If you escalate those numbers to where we would be when we do construction. So that was just used as a baseline. And then next steps are just to really talk about what the polling data looks like, what the community group believes. And then we have our last community meeting scheduled to be in December, where we will build a bond, so to say, based on what the numbers in the community feels and what does this community support and want to see. That's kind of where we're at in a very quick nutshell, but a lot of work behind it.
Right. Any questions from the board? All right. Thank you, Ms. Glassman Bowen. I look forward to seeing what comes out from the group in January.
Do you want me to go to the next item? Okay. There are two things. So we have for you tonight our annual Division 22 Standards and Assurances Report. This is the assurances for the 21-22 school year. So not the current school year we're in, but the year that was. So this is last year. I would like to report that we are in compliance with all of our assurances except for 3. If you'll turn to page 2. We, for the 21-22 school year, are out of compliance with our physical education requirements. Students in K-5 should receive 150 minutes weekly. And last year they were receiving on average 120. So we're short 30 minutes. And then middle school for the 21-22 school year, they should have been receiving 180 minutes per week, and they're short about 36. And for the 22-23 school year, the current year we're in, that actually has been increased in middle school to 225 minutes. So we are working collaboratively with both our elementary schools and our middle school to see how we're going to bring all of that into compliance. So there's those 2 areas. And then if you go to page 8, for the 21-22 school year, both our middle and high school staff were in compliance for suicide prevention training. However, not all of our elementary staff received that training, but we are already in compliance for the 22-23 school year, as it has been added to the 6+ hours of vector training all staff must do. So we are now all in compliance. So that one's already been checked off for this year, and we will be in compliance for the 22-23 school year in that area. Are there any questions?
Clients on the physical education. Is that because of the change in hours, or how does that happen?
There's a variety of things that go into the different schedules in both the elementary, and then I know in the middle school, it's a staffing ratio issue we have going on. So we are looking at that and examining it. We also are looking at how, for example, in elementary, can we get additional minutes either through structured playtime during recess and or different things that teachers can do, different types of movements in the classroom to also capture additional minutes. In the middle school, however, so we have 2 PE teachers, and we probably need more than that in order to get in compliance with the minutes. So we're working on it. We have a plan, and we're working collaboratively with all 3 elementary principals and the middle school principal.
Yeah, I know that's always a tricky problem, getting those minutes in.
Yeah. Luckily, the elementary stays the same. It's 150 minutes, but this year it's 225 for middle school. So we have work to do in that area. And I also say we're probably not the only district in the state of Oregon this is an area where it's tricky.
And any other questions for Dr. Bernal on the Division 22?
I have a question. Who decides the minutes? How many minutes per week?
The Oregon Department of Education. Yeah,
Because that's a very big increase.
yes, and we're hoping that, are you talking about the 225 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping that, they're getting a lot of feedback on that increase right now. So we're hoping that they're gonna maybe perhaps stay with the 180.
Right, any other questions? If not, we do have to approve this report because it will ultimately get submitted to ODE. So any for Director Richardson?
I move to approve the report on Division 22 standards and assurances for the 2021-2022 school year as presented.
Second. All right, so we've got a motion by Director Richardson to approve the report on the Division 22 standards and assurances for the 2021-2022 school year as presented, and seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez. Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, anything else, Dr. Bernal?
Well, that's all for me. Thank you.
All right, our next report comes from our CFO, Ms. Kara Flath.
Hello. So your September financial summary, I'm still reporting on fiscal year 22. I think I don't think our audit is started. It has to be finished by December 31st. There might be minor adjustments after this if there's something we find we need to tweak, but for the most part, these numbers should be final, which means we ended our general fund last year at 931,000, which is close to what we anticipated. Remember the year before we ended at 434,000 or something. So we did double that ending fund balance. And again, one of our goals is to balance spending federal monies and building up our general fund, and enough that if we have concerns or issues in the future, we have a little funding to use as a backup. To my knowledge, there's no substantial issues as we go into the audit. There was one, as many board resolutions as you saw come from me. There was one, you will see one note on our, so our auditors will send a report to ODE that says we were over budget in one area. And I'm really bummed about this, but our seismic grant, there was $54,000 that weren't approved to be paid by that. And some of those ancillary add-on things they didn't feel were part of the original scope. So they did disapprove those, and we ended up covering those with enterprise funds, but threw the budget off a little bit in that fund. So it will be a comment, just letting you know. A little disappointed on that one. If you've driven by the high school, and I see the Principal Evans is here, the pavilion is installed and up. Hey, see, yeah, there is hope. However, I did learn that one of the pieces, it's a prefabbed building, was cut incorrectly. So I think there's one issue with it that will need to be fixed, but otherwise the roof is on. There's just one issue with it, but it's on. Yes. We do have several construction projects around the office and all of the buildings that we're working on. We're working, one of the big projects, and I think we're close to finished or finished, is turning the field right next to Sid White into a soccer field. I think I've already talked about that, but we were having a company come in and do the fencing removal for us. Sherman County Transportation's underway. We did send them the first bill, which we're excited and happy to bill them for. Just keeping in mind, we did have a loan for 3 buses. We did purchase we do have the first 2 in the fleet. We do have one of our buses loaned out over there until we get the 3rd one, but we do have those loan payments happening this year. So we're a little upside down with Sherman County this first month because we have to make those loan payments up front before we get the cash flow in there. That's kind of the gist of financial report, nothing too substantial. Any questions or anything you want to see related to last fiscal year in the next report?
Just the ending fund balance, just, I don't need you to crunch a number right now, but just what is that? It's expressed as a percentage, just for curiosity. Yeah.
I can do that. So moving on to enrollment. Any other questions? I want to skip too fast. I know everybody wants to talk numbers. One day. Yeah, spreadsheet. So moving on to the October enrollment, the snapshot date was October 4th. I'm pretty elated about this because again, projected this year at 2,850. We went into October at 2,849. So pretty excited about that. That means good news. I did add, it is a change of 2 from the previous month. So not substantial. There's inflows and outflows I see all the time. On the second page on the bottom, I think I talked about this, but wanted to give you a visual. When you look at this community and go back and look at the kindergarten theoretical number of births for the year that those students would have been kindergartners, that's one of the comparisons we use in the forecasting system that we're using. So if you look at even 2022, theoretically, if every family and none moved in and none moved out, we should have seen 279 students in kindergarten, but we only saw 220. So we do kind of use that 23, 24, 25 year as a benchmark, and then what we're seeing change through the year. So just an interesting perspective of how it's slowly gone, getting a bigger gap through the year, but just for fun, but pretty stable, continues to hold path. But again, we know December's a month where it starts to dip down and into January. Any questions?
The birth of that just from, local, that's not forecasted like in forecast 5, right? That's actual data.
Yeah, yes, that data comes from the birth records in this community that year.
Okay.
But it is also what's collected in forecast 5. Yeah. And just the last report, I'll just keep continuing to include this as the bond planning update and timeline. And again, all this information is on the website, and we kind of gave you a really quick snapshot, but just so anyone who's curious when we're meeting, what we're talking about and what we're doing, I just include that for any other questions. Thank you.
Any other questions from Ms. Plath on either enrollment or financials? All right. Thank you, Ms. Plath. Our last report is our board attorney report. Anything from your end, Mr. Corey? Okay, that concludes our reports for tonight. Move into our discussion and action items, starting with the review and approval of the proposed 2022-2023 board goals. So this is the outcome of our recent retreat that we had on October 7th. And so the 2 elements that we wanted to focus on for this upcoming year, the larger theme was service and volunteer, and a couple of sub bullet points on that. So one of the things that we are going to be focusing as a board is that we're looking to attend and participate in the schools through volunteer activities and support the schools kind of as needed on a monthly basis. So whether that's, things like recess duty, helping out in the cafeteria during lunchtime, reading, anything that the schools need, we're looking to once a month, and will be distributed out throughout the district. And the kind of core second component to that is moving forward. We didn't do it this year, but the month of September is going to be kind of a service month for us, and we'll be looking for service events in the community. One of those examples that Director Nelson had brought up, which we are looking to do next September, is the community cleanup that takes place the second Saturday of every month. So we'd be targeting that September opportunity next year, and then we'll be looking for others as well. The second component to our goals for the year is to support the community's bond recommendations. So, there's a large effort with the community group to put together what a bond will be in the upcoming May election. And so the board itself is going to be looking to support the bond work as needed and where we are most needed as identified by the district leadership team. So those are kind of the two elements that came out of our goals discussion. Any other comments or discussion from the board? If not, we'll look to approve those for this year.
To approve the 2022-2023 board goals as presented.
All right, do I get a second? So we got a motion by Director Lopez to approve the 2022-2023 board goals as presented, seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion? I'm not seeing any. Then we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez.
Aye.
Director Jones. Aye. Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, our next item is the adoption of the OSBA legislative priorities and principles as recommended by the Legislative Policy Committee. We're fortunate to have Director Richardson as part of the Legislative Policy Committee, so she will be presenting this tonight.
Thank you. You have the full priorities and principles in your packet. There are 8 buckets of priorities that the Legislative Policy Committee worked on and approved earlier this summer. The OSBA executive team has approved that. And now we're seeking OSBA members' support for those priorities, which will set the direction and course of the work of our lobbyists and the OSBA focus for the upcoming long legislative session. Those big buckets really are, there are 8 of them: to promote adequate, predictable, and stable funding. And that includes a priority of the state school fund. There was some discussion at our committee meeting about the gap in funding. So for the 2021-23 biennium, the quality education model called for a funding level of 11 billion. The legislature appropriated 9.3 billion. So there's a gap there of 1.863 billion for the state. And the OSBA expects the projected current level service level to be approximately 9.5 billion. So they're working very hard with COSA and expects the actual service level calculation of 10+ billion. So this is a real focus. Doesn't get cheaper. It's more expensive for schools. And so it's insufficient to approve the previous level budget. And secondly, in that bucket is the Student Success Act. So the SSA revenue continues to be really strong, and protecting it is a legislative priority. We focus on closing the opportunity gap, containing the cost drivers, supporting local governance and opposing mandates, support capital investments, ensuring access to post-secondary credits, and addressing education workforce shortages. So we seek the board's approval for those priorities.
All right, any questions, comments for Director Richardson on the proposed priorities and principles from OSBA? I mean, the one thing I will say, I do appreciate that supporting capital improvements and trying to obtain funding from the state level, as we saw just earlier. I mean, the cost of replacing facilities is not cheap by any means, and any help above and beyond just the awesome grants and some of the seismic grants are available, I think is not only helpful for North Wasco, but I think statewide. I mean, we're not different than most when it comes to facility needs. So I think that's awesome to see that. Any other questions, comments? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the OSBA legislative priorities and principles as recommended by the Legislative Policy Committee.
All right, do I have a second? All right, so got a motion from Director Stevens to adopt the OSBA legislative priorities and principles as recommended by the LPC, seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion or comment? Seeing none, and we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez, Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Stevens. Aye. Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next, we've got a request to approve the purchase of a food truck. So we'll have Ms. Plath present that.
I'm trying not to talk too loud so it doesn't ring at you. So you actually did approve a food truck last fiscal year. I can't remember. It was probably close to this time for 95,000. We didn't purchase a food truck then. We were waiting for this pavilion, which got built to get built. And we actually have 2 leads on a food truck right now. We're looking at one that is 107,000. It looks like it would work. We've also found another one. If that one doesn't work, that is 140,000. So this will give us the ability to purchase the food truck so we can put it out of the pavilion. And our long-term goal is not even long-term, short-term is to hopefully put more options out there. As you know, if you've been through the high school cafeteria, which is one of the reasons we really could use a new high school, there's no seating. So giving students some easier options, because it's also an accessibility issue to be able to get in and get your meal quickly. So having 2 points of service might be better for students to access, and then we can have different options in both areas. So it'll require a little more staffing, but we also are CEP, community eligible provision. So we provide free meals to all our students, and we would have to meet all the nutrition guidelines, but we also would have a food truck that we could also use as concessions in other places, but still have to meet the nutritional guidelines to keep the meal compliance. But hoping to get this purchased and have it up and running hopefully by January.
Any questions for Ms. Plath?
Do you estimate would be served from one of a food truck?
That's a really great question. Our goal would be to serve at least 100, but where they choose to eat and it's an open campus will be interesting to see. So it'll be picking the right options of what they want to eat. But our goal would be 100.
Any other questions? The one thing, I mean, I had just the need for it again is because last fiscal year has already closed as of June 30. Now that we're in the new, you need the approval again, right? As I understand it.
Yeah, well.
And the amount.
Yeah,
delta, right.
The amount is more. So I could probably come in with just the difference, but just to keep it clear, just to know this replaces the other one. So we're not buying 2 food trucks, but gives me authority to buy one of the 2 that we found.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve the food truck purchase.
All right. Do I have a second? All right. So we've got a motion by Director Nelson to approve the district to procure a food truck, authorizing up to $140,000 to spend from the ESSER 3 funds, and seconded by Director Lopez. Any further discussion or comment? Not seeing none. Then we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez, Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you, Ms. Plath. Next is the amended 2022-2023 school calendar that we'll have from Dr. Bernal.
Yes, thank you. So we made a error on our academic calendar. So New Year's Day this year falls on a Sunday, and the law says when a holiday falls on a Sunday, the following Monday is observed. It's a federal holiday. And originally we had the kids coming back on Monday, the 2nd, but we actually need to observe the 2nd as the federal holiday for all of our employees. So we will be coming back on the 3rd. And we will wait to see if another snowpocalypse happens. And Jody's shaking her head like, no. And then we'll just reconcile that with any snow days we might have to take. And then we'll have to figure out whether we need to add back at the end or not. But for now, we need to observe the 2nd as a federal holiday, with students returning on the 3rd. And we're seeking your approval on the amended calendars because we want to be able to notify parents early.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bernal. Any questions regarding the adjustment in the calendar? No, I will entertain a motion for its approval.
Move to approve the amended 2022 to 2023 school calendar as presented.
All right, is there a second? So we've got a motion by Director Nelson to approve the amended 2022-2023 school calendar as presented, and seconded by Director Jones. Any further discussion or comment? All right, and seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez. Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Okay, that concludes our action items for tonight. We'll move on to first reading on school board policies. So first is the policy IGBBC, the Talented and Gifted Programs and Services. So this policy will actually be fully deleted. And so the reasoning for that is there have been some additional rule changes passed regarding the talented and gifted programs. So as a result, OSBA policy staff worked to reduce the number of overall policies and administrative regulations down to 2. And both remaining ARs are optional. So essentially the policies IGBB and IGBBC have been merged, which deletes IGBBC and revises IGBB. So that is a cause for the deletion on that. And so full deletion, we'll have our second reading next month. And at that point, then this policy will be fully removed. Any questions regarding that? Okay. The other one that we have tonight is a new policy. And so this is policy BCBA, student representatives to the board. And so as we heard earlier tonight and approved the formation of the special subcommittee, this is the policy that would now be implemented within the district to have a student sit and be at the table with the board at board meetings. So again, first meeting today. And so the committee obviously will kick off and work to develop the administrative regulation, which will include things like the process for selection of the student, the application and whatnot. And this is just the overall policy. So any questions regarding the language on the policy itself? Again, this will come back for a second reading where we'll vote for it. But this is just to add the student representative on the board. Okay. So that concludes our first readings, and on second readings, we have first, well, I'll actually do them kind of in, discuss them in tandem, but we'll vote for them individually. So we have IGBB and IGBBA that are both regarding the Talented and Gifted program. So IGBB is the Talented and Gifted program and or services. And so again, that's the consolidation of the Talented and Gifted policies, and also it directs the complaint procedure to follow board policy KL. And so the language change, you'll see the highlight in yellow. Kind of what we had discussed last meeting is just to clean up the reference to the board policies KL and KL-AR. So just the naming was made to align with our actual policies. So board policy KL is labeled complaints. KL-AR is a complaint procedure. And then the other thing that we made to align with the complaint procedure is to start those at step 1. So any questions regarding that and the update that we did as a result of our discussion last time? All right. And similarly on IGBBA, really it's just the update on the second page to correspond with the actual naming of our policies, and then the starting at step 1 within that complaint process. So starting with IGBB, I will entertain a motion for its adoption.
I'll move, Chair, to adopt policy IGBB, talented and gifted program and nurse services.
All right, do I have a second? All right, so we've got a motion by Director Richardson to adopt policy IGBB, talented and gifted program and services as presented, and seconded by Director Stevens. Any further questions or discussions? Not seeing none. Move to a vote. Director Lopez. Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And the next one is then IGBBA, the corresponding one. This is talented and gifted students identification. I'll entertain a motion for its adoption as well.
To adopt policy IGBBA, calendar and gifted students identification.
Second.
All right, so we've got a motion by Director Nelson to approve policy IGBBA, talented and gifted students identification, and seconded by Director Richardson. Any further discussion or comment? Not seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. Director Lopez. Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Nelson.
Aye.
Director Stevens.
Aye.
Director Richardson.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Then lastly, we just have an administrative rule for information only. And so it's also in corresponding with the consolidation of policies on talented and gifted programs. So this IGBBC-AR, complaints regarding the talented and gifted program, will be deleted in its entirety. Again, the reference in terms of the complaint process will follow policy KL and KL-AR. So that will be removed from our overall policies. All right, that concludes ARs tonight. And then did we have anyone sign up for comment tonight? Nope. All right, so with no comments tonight, then that brings us to the end of the meeting. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and I will officially adjourn the meeting.